How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Hello and welcome back to Arcanum Gaming, and a very happy new year to everyone. Today, we are finally going to take a look at trying to create some kind of a list to rank every adventure game that I've ever played. Again, this is going to be my personal opinion. My choices on here may differ from yours. If that happens, that's okay. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Know what your top five, maybe bottom five adventure games you've ever played are. We are just doing, of course, point and clicks, specifically, graphic adventure puzzle games. And we're going to put these in to the tier list roughly based on the order that I played them. So first up, let's just get this one out of the way. This was the very first adventure game that I can remember playing, and it is, of course, The Curse of Monkey Island, or Monkey Island 3. And this one's obviously in my top five. It's one of the best adventure games ever made. The Monkey Island franchise is considered probably the best adventure game franchise ever made. Most would argue, I think. There's probably plenty of people who would disagree, but I am definitely of that opinion. Moving on, the second game, point and click that I played. These first three I really all experienced when I was quite young. And that may surprise you because the second game on this list is Phantasmagoria, which is was one of the first. I don't know if it was the first, but it was definitely one of the very early full motion video adventure games, and is a horror game with some pretty interesting elements to it. And obviously, when I played this as a kid, it was I didn't get very far into it. Obviously, I'm not even sure why I was allowed to play it. It wasn't my parents didn't let me play it. I was being babysat at a friend of my dad's. His friend's wife was babysitting me, and she was big into point and click adventures while they went to a hockey game, and she introduced me to Curse of Monkey Island, Phantasmagoria, and Space Quest on different occasions. Phantasmagoria, I did, of course, go back and play again as an adult, so I was able to actually complete it. And I remember it being, I wouldn't say that it held up very well as far as mechanics go, but it was very interesting seeing it in the, full motion video, the early concepts of having a full motion video game, especially in this genre. And I think it was fine. I hesitate to call it good. It'd be pretty low to the bottom of the good scale, maybe at the top of the fine. Not really sure. I'm going to put it down here for now. Yeah, I remember I enjoyed the story. It was really kind of creepy towards the end, and it was a little bit gory if you got some of the death scenes. But if that doesn't bother you too much, it might be an interesting one to check out. It's a little on the creepy side, though. Do bear that in mind if you're not familiar with it. Up next, we have Space Quest. The first game is the only one in the franchise that I have played, at least as far as I can remember. I may have tried playing the fifth game. I have seen Let's Plays of the rest of the series, though, so I'm probably not going to be playing them, at least on the channel. Although I don't necessarily remember most of them. I remember the most about the first game and about the fifth game, and this is one of the very early Sierra games, and much like Phantasmagoria, it was fine. The problem with a lot of the early Space Quest games is it is, of course, an early Sierra game, which means you're using a text parser. It's pretty hard to navigate. It's a great franchise. The story is fun. The characters are fun, but it's an old text parser with a lot of unfair deaths. So I'm going to put it below Phantasmagoria in the fine category. The fifth game, again, I don't remember if I actually played it or if I just watched a Let's Play. I probably would have put it somewhere up here. So I didn't include it in this list because I couldn't remember for sure. Up next, we have Escape from Monkey Island. This was the fourth game that I played. This was a couple of years after these three. And again, Curse of Monkey Island was the only one I would say I finished when I was at that younger age. These two I went back and played later in life. But Escape from Monkey Island was the next one on that list, and it is good. It's not great. It's not in the top 5, but it's a good game. The gameplay itself is fine. I probably have the same complaints that most people do. The change to the very early 3D graphic style did not do the game any favors. It would have been a lot better if they kept it a 2D adventure like they did with Curse, and kept the traditional point and click instead of adding in the controller support aspect to it. But yeah, it's still a Monkey Island game. Monkey combat, but that's a topic for another day. Moving on, we have Star Trek 25th Anniversary. And this one, I really don't remember. I tried playing it, I think. It was around the same time as Escape, so I was still fairly young. The game came in some kind of like a box thing that I got at a used game store that included like a VHS copy of City on the Edge of Forever. I remember watching the VHS and I tried playing the game and didn't really get much of anywhere with it. So, yeah, I know I played it for a couple hours at some point, but I don't really remember anything about it. So it's going to be just down here for now. Up next, no, these are several years ago, a lot closer to modern time. I guess I was maybe still in college or just shortly after college when I picked up the King's Quest collection. And as you can see, I played 3 of them. Obviously, I started with the first game, and it was very fun, but once again, the classic Sierra text parser issues. And if I was this the first Sierra game? I don't think it was. It was obviously the first King's Quest, but I don't know if it was their very first adventure game. It might have been the second or third one, but it was a fine game. I don't know if I liked it as much as Space Quest, but again, it was fine. I don't know if it really deserves to be this low on the list, but I'm going to put it there for now. King's Quest 2, however, I would put in the good tier. You still had the Sierra text parser, all that stuff, but they definitely improved upon what they had in the first game. The story was better. The gameplay, I guess, in general was better. It was a bigger game, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it definitely felt bigger. And it was just more interesting. Then after that, I actually skipped ahead quite a bit. I didn't play the third or fourth one. Don't really know anything about the third or fourth one at all, actually. Maybe I'll try to play those at some point in the future. I did end up watching Let's Plays of 5 and 6. I don't know why I skipped 3 and 4, but I did. And then I decided to try playing 7 for myself. And 7 was fine. It was a good game. I enjoyed it a lot, but it was very simplified from what I could tell. Obviously, it was much farther in the future, so we had the traditional point-and-click controls, but it didn't feel like as much of a game, maybe even as King's Quest 2. So I'm actually going to put it below King's Quest 2, but it was in the good tier for me. I don't remember a lot of it, but I'm pretty sure I finished it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not actually sure I did finish it, but it's been a while since I played that one. What do we have next? Okay, so we got the next couple are the big ones. So I remember when these came out, the special editions of Secret of Monkey Island, and then shortly thereafter, LeChuck's Revenge and Tales of Monkey Island. This was, a big couple of years for me. I don't remember exactly what years these came out, but it was, again, in that end of high school, early college years for me. And obviously I had hugely fond memories. Hugely fond? I don't think that's grammatically accurate. Very fond memories? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But I absolutely adored Curse of Monkey Island, and I enjoyed Escape from Monkey Island. And I had always wanted to go back and play the first 2 games in the franchise to understand how we got to this point. And I never had the ability because obviously they only existed on, old floppy disks and stuff that I didn't have access to. And then the special edition came out, and I lost my mind, and I played the game, and I loved it, and it was great. It was just, it's Monkey Island. It's a great game. I don't think it was anywhere near the best of the first three installments. These are obviously much debated among the community, as is LeChuck's Revenge, which I think, at least for the moment, is going to sit up in my top 5. That may change. Again, this isn't necessarily the best games. This is my favorite games, so bear that in mind. It's definitely below Curse for me. It's hard. Talking about these two, a lot of people would argue this. A lot of people would put this one at the top. Personal opinion, Curse is better. And with some of the more recent things that I've played, actually, LeChuck's Revenge is definitely not even, here. It may be bumped down a little bit. Spoiler alert. Coming up next, we have Tales of Monkey Island. Now, this game was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I loved it more than Secret. Not quite as much as LeChuck's Revenge, but it was great revisiting the franchise in an appropriate art style and gameplay style. Better than Escape, but not better than Curse or LeChuck's Revenge for me personally. Let's see. Up next, we have Thimbleweed Park. Thimbleweed Park was a great game. I don't think I can put it above either of the Monkey Islands that are here, but it was a great game up until the ending, which, much like a handful of other Ron Gilbert adventure games, namely LeChuck's Revenge and Return to Monkey Island, they tend to fall flat in the very final act of the game. This one was not as egregious because it was left open to interpretation, whereas Thimbleweed Park and Return to Monkey Island, spoiler alert, were not really left to much interpretation. Thimbleweed Park, again, it was a very fun game. I really enjoyed it really up until the very ending. And, great return to the good old Scum 9-verb system, classic adventure game, artwork and stuff. Very beautiful game if you haven't tried it. Highly recommend it. Next I played Maniac Mansion, and this was quite a divergence going back playing the game that the Scum engine was created for, and this one it wasn't good. I know a lot of people have fond memories of this, enjoyed it. I should have made maybe a tier below fine. I don't necessarily think there's any games on this list except for maybe one or two that I really didn't like, but Maniac Mansion, it wasn't, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't care for it. Up next, we have Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, and this one, unfortunately, is in the did not finish tier. Not because I didn't like the game. It was a very fun game, but I didn't finish it. I started playing it a few years ago, and was it in 2020? It was around that time, somewhere around that time. 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. And I played about halfway through the game, right up to the point where you choose the branching path, which I think is halfway through. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. And for some reason, I just set the game aside and didn't pick it back up. And a couple of years passed by, and I just never finished it. It's still on my list of things to do, and now that I'm doing the channel, I may or may not make that one of the Let's Plays, although I don't know if I really want to do that because, like I said, the first half of the game would not be blind for me because I've already played it, but it's one that I do want to get back to and finish at some point in time. It was very fun. If I had finished it, it would be somewhere up in the great tier. Probably might actually be at the top of the great tier. Not sure. Don't quote me on that. Again, I didn't finish the game, so I can't say for sure. Return to Monkey Island. This was a hard one for me. I did not like. It was an okay game. It was fine. Honestly, I think I liked Phantasmagoria more than Return to Monkey Island. Obviously, the voice acting was phenomenal because, we've got our boy Dominic Armato. I hate the artwork style was very divisive. Pretty much everyone either loved it or hated it. I was in the latter camp. I could not stomach the artwork. The longer I played it, it was okay, but I really really hated it. And then, of course, the ending just like torpedoed everything for me. Completely ruined the game. And the writing, it was okay. The gameplay was oversimplified to the one click, two click interface, which works well for a lot of modern adventure games. But this game, it didn't work. It didn't feel like Monkey Island. The tone was just weird. When this game was announced, everybody was in a couple of different camps again. People were expecting that it was either going to be Ron Gilbert's original vision for Monkey Island 3, and it was going to, kind of erase the games that came after it, sort of erase, or that it was going to be a successor to Tales of Monkey Island, which would have made the most sense. It really did neither of those things. We kind of got a little bit of the original vision for Monkey Island 3, which with the ending and like the hell pit thing or whatever it was at the end where you got to go down and all the stuff. Spoiler alert. I don't mind spoiling this one because it was a bad game, but it also didn't. It kind of threw out a lot of the stuff that happened here, even though it was technically a sequel to everything. So I don't know. I didn't like it. It was technically better than all of these games. Probably technically better than Phantasmagoria 2, but it was a game. I played it. We're moving on. Now, this is everything that I played adventure game-wise all the way through, or not quite all the way through, before I started the channel. So everything else here you guys may have seen before, and I'm still going to rank these here. They may not be in the exact same places that I put them in my 2024 ranking or even my ranking from last week, but because again, this isn't necessarily on if they were good or not, just how much I enjoyed them. So Loom. Loom was fine. It wasn't great. I'd probably put it here. It wasn't a bad game. I just they try to do something different with the drafts and the music instead of having items and puzzles and stuff like that. And it was a really nice idea, but it felt very limiting. There just wasn't enough done with it, and being limited to the drafts instead of having a variety of puzzles and challenges and stuff. It limited the game a lot, and I think that may be why it didn't get the popularity it deserved and why it did not get its 2 sequels that were planned. Sam & Max Hit the Road. Now, this one was a phenomenal game. I absolutely loved it. If you guys were around for that or have seen my Let's Play or my other rankings. And that one is definitely up here in the top 5 category. The game was absolutely phenomenal. It was the first game that I played in recent history that made me feel like a kid again playing Curse of Monkey Island. Absolutely loved the humor. I loved the gameplay. The characters were great. Everything was phenomenal. Obviously doesn't beat Curse out, but it's up there in the top 5. I actually would put it above LeChuck's Revenge. Then we had Goosebumps the game, and now this was a bit of a divergence from the typical point and clicks that I played. It was almost more like one of those hidden object kind of games, but it was kind of somewhere in the middle between those. First-person perspective adventure game, which I haven't played really any others. I think I might have tried Myst for 10 minutes at one point in time when I was younger, but I don't really remember it. I'm going to put it somewhere in here. Obviously, I enjoyed it because of the Goosebumps nostalgia. I'm actually going to bump Phantasmagoria up to the bottom of the good tier. I enjoyed the nostalgia of it. It wasn't a great game, but it was a game. Probably not as good as Return to Monkey Island. But, yeah, it's higher up on this fine category just because of the nostalgia, but not really because of the gameplay. Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded. Now, this game is one that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to most people because, it's it's Leisure Suit Larry. A lot of over-the-top sexual humor and stuff like that, which I played it mostly for the nostalgia of another old classic Sierra game. This is obviously a remaster of the first game in the franchise. I didn't play any of the others, and I'm probably not going to. But I did enjoy the game. It was a good point and click adventure. If the atmosphere and the theme wasn't necessarily the best, there was a good amount of humor in it, but take it with a grain of salt, and it's going to be somewhere in the good tier. I don't think it was great, but it was good, and I think I'd probably put it above King's Quest 2. Not sure. We're going to drop it there. Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars. Now, this was a great game. I don't think it's in my top 5, but it was a great game. Did I enjoy it more than Thimbleweed Park? Yes. Yes, I did. Just mostly because of the ending. I also didn't like the clown character at all. But it's not better than any of the Monkey Island games for me, except, maybe Escape. But great game. What am I saying? Great game. George Stobart was a great protagonist. Really the only things that kind of let this game down for me just a little bit, it felt like there was... It felt a little bit light on puzzles, and it felt a little bit slow and drawn out. Not necessarily a bad thing, but personal preference, maybe just a little bit on the slow side. And I do think it was technically better than the sequel, but I think the sequel had better gameplay. Personally, we'll get to that here in a little bit, though. It was a great game. Great game. Looking forward to finishing the rest of the franchise at some point. But I think it's going to be somewhere right around there. Up next, we had Milkmaid of the Milky Way. This was the first of the little mini adventure games that I started mixing into my other Let's Plays. This was very fun. It was good. Maybe we'll put it here. It's probably better than King's Quest 7. It was a very short, hour, maybe 2 hour adventure game. No voice acting, unfortunately, but it's a fun little story. It was a very seriously toned game, though, despite it being about aliens kidnapping your pet cow. Good simple graphic adventure, had good puzzles, and good pacing, too. Really enjoyed it. Would like to see more from that developer. Up next, we had Nelly Kudalat, Spoonbeaks Ahoy. Now, this was a great game, even though it was very short, very simplistic. It was very piratey, very cute, very cozy, cute, whatever you want to call it, something like that. And again, it was a little simplistic, but I think I'm still going to put it above Thimbleweed Park. It was great. I absolutely loved it. It was adorable. The character was great. Again, even though it was mostly voice acted by one person, I guess it was two. It was the developer did all the voices except for the main character. Very fun. Made me want to play the sequel, which I haven't gotten to yet. The Foul Fleet, which is on my list of things. Maybe we'll get to it this next year. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I've got a lot of adventure games to play. Up next, we played Ankh, and Ankh was fine. I may have enjoyed it more than Return to Monkey Island, but it was just fine. The voice acting was there. The graphics were acceptable for the time period that they were made. The humor was and the puzzles were fine, though. I guess the gameplay was okay. It wasn't great. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't great. Up next, we had The Booze of Monkey Island. Now, this is technically a fan game. This is not an official adventure game, but I did decide to still put it on the list because I did play it, and it's Monkey Island themed. And this game was a lot of fun. It was good. We're going to put it, I don't know. It was a very simple game. Maybe I shouldn't put it that high. I should put it down here somewhere. But it was fun. It was a good game. The puzzles were pretty decent. There was no voice acting, but we had absolutely phenomenally beautiful artwork. The writing and the dialogue could have been better. Didn't quite feel like Guybrush, but it was still a very fun experience. If you want to try it, you can check it out. It's free to play by the same people who are developing Tango Rio, Adventures of Tango Rio. I'd recommend giving it a try. Up next, we played The Blackwell Legacy. This game I was really hoping to like a lot more than I did. There are several sequels, and I did get them all on a relatively cheap Good Old Game sale. Do want to play them at some point just to see how the story continues on, see if the games get better. I'm told that the last one in the franchise is really the best one, and that they progressively get better, build on each other, which is good. So we'll see if that's true. The first game, the story was okay. Again, it lacked puzzles, lacked a lot of other gameplay elements. A lot of the quote-unquote puzzle solving was just exhausting dialogue options until we solved something with our journal. It was fine. Yeah, we're going to put it below Goosebumps. It was just fine. Like I said, with a lot of these games I enjoyed playing it, but it wasn't anything to write home about for me personally. Powers in the Basement, on the other hand, was a good game. It was... Shoot, where do I put this? Below Milkmaid, above Milkmaid? I'm not sure. I'm going to drop it here for the moment. I'm not sure if that's the best placement. It was another one of those very short games, but it was just... Whereas Blackwell Legacy had almost no puzzles, Powers in the Basement had almost exclusively puzzles. And they were mostly good. It was very short, but very fun. It was another, I think it was free to play, or it was like $1. I don't remember. Either way, I'd recommend checking it out. I think it might have been free to play. If you like, your classic adventure games with a lot of puzzle solving. Up next, we played Willie Morgan and the Curse of Bone Town. I enjoyed this game a fair bit. It wasn't great. The animation, some of it was just a little bit wonky. Not necessarily wonky. It just felt... This is odd to say about an adventure game, especially a graphic adventure game, but it felt a little cartoony. It felt like it was trying hard to be Monkey Island-esque, but it was a decent treasure hunt. The story was okay. The setting was okay. It was an okay game. I wanted to like it a lot more than I did. Not that I didn't like it. Again, like I said, it was fine. It was good. Maybe good. I think I enjoyed Booze and Monkey Island better just because of the setting, but I'm actually going to put it up a bit higher, I think, than I ranked it in my 2024 adventure game ranking. I may have actually put it above Leisure Suit Larry. I don't think it was better than Escape. These may actually be a little bit lower, but I don't want to mess with that list too much at the moment. Sam & Max Save the World. This was the first of Telltale's follow-up to Sam & Max Hit the Road, and there's a cartoon show and comics and a whole bunch of other stuff. And this game was fun, but it was just fine. It was still Sam & Max. The characters were great. The atmosphere was great. The comedy was great. But the gameplay was lacking. Some of the puzzles required a bit of moon logic, and even though there weren't very many puzzles and a lot of it was very linear, from what I recall, I very much enjoyed it, but the gameplay was just fine. I don't think it was better than most of these things up above it. I don't even know if it was better than Ankh, actually. Like, I definitely enjoyed it more, but I don't think it was better than Ankh. And again, if we're going based on how much I enjoyed these, actually, that's actually going to put Goosebumps above Return to Monkey Island in that case. Broken Sword 2, The Smoking Mirror. This one's up here somewhere. I keep going back and forth with these, whether I think this one is better or this one's better. This was definitely a technically better game. The puzzles were better, the gameplay was better, but the story was definitely better in the first game. I'm actually tempted to put this one above Secret of Monkey Island,
What?
which I that feels a bit blasphemous to say, but can I do that? I really should have thought this through a bit more before starting. I don't know if I can justify that. This is difficult. I think I'm actually gonna pivot. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put Secret back at the top of the great tier. I'm gonna put Broken Sword 2 above Tales. Because I think I enjoyed that more than Tales. As much as I love Tales, I think Broken Sword 2 was better than Tales. Although I do like Tales more than I like Secret of Monkey Island. I don't know. This section up here is just, it's very hard. It's very hard to rank. I think we're gonna go like that for the moment. I may change my mind later. Rosewater. No, thank you. I'm sorry. Rosewater just was a big swing and a miss for me. I was really excited for a good Western themed adventure game, and it turned out to be not Western, which I didn't realize until after I purchased it. It is technically set in the West, but it's more of like a Wild Wild West steampunky kind of weird thing. The tone and the atmosphere don't really feel like they fit with the time period. They feel a little bit on the more modern political spectrum, if you know what I'm saying. The characters all felt kind of boring to me, except for Gentleman Jake. I enjoyed his character, and I can't remember what his name was. I enjoyed him as well a little bit. The other characters, including Harley, I just was whatever. And the game was just so boring. It was all about your party and having long, drawn out conversations with characters that just I didn't care about. I just wanted to collect some items and solve some puzzles, and there was frightfully little of that. And so I got halfway through the. I don't even know if it was halfway. I hope it was at least halfway of the little mini quest passing through the desert, and just got so bored of the game and didn't want to pick it back up and just stopped playing it, which is the only time that's ever really happened with an adventure game where I intentionally stopped because I didn't like it, which is saying something. That being said, the voice acting was fine, the music was good, the artwork was absolutely fabulous. But the writing and the dialogue and the lack of puzzles just ruined the game for me. I'm sorry. I just couldn't, I didn't like it. Immediately after that, however, I played a game that was absolutely phenomenal and kind of blew me away, and honestly, might be here. I haven't given this that much thought. It's somewhere in the range of these three. I don't know if it's in my top 5. I don't know if it beats Secret of Monkey Island, but it's definitely at least here. I got to think about this a little bit more as we go through the list, but it was a fantastic game. Absolutely loved it. Was not expecting that this year. I had seen a trailer for it last year and was really excited for it, and it exceeded my expectations based on what I had seen from it in the past. Great, creepy horror-esque thriller, some kind of time travel elements and stuff. It was very emotional. The atmosphere was great. The artwork was great. The voice acting was just, oh, it was awesome. It was wonderful. Loved the Drifter. Up next, after that, we went back to another classic Sierra game. I think it was the first one I played on the channel, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Obviously not the first one I ever played. But that was the Dagger of Amun-Ra, aka Laura Bow 2. I tried to play Colonel's Bequest. I got like an hour or two into that. I probably should have put it on this list in the DNF category, but I wasn't thinking about it. I had issues recording that one, and so... But I also wasn't really enjoying it because, early Sierra text parser. But this one was not a text parser. This was a traditional point and click game. Again, still suffered from some of the Sierra isms, meaning there were some dead ends and a lot of deaths that were just kind of annoying. Not that having deaths in an adventure game is necessarily bad, because obviously there were a lot of great Sierra games that did it, but again, this game was great until the ending. The very last chapter where you have to solve the mystery by answering questions, but don't get access to the notebook that you've been keeping notes in the entire game for some arbitrary reason. And so you just kind of have to hope that you either hand wrote everything down that happened throughout the game, or that you can somehow remember the entire game. Which I guess if you were playing it all in one sitting, maybe. But the rest of the game, though, was great. I enjoyed the voice acting, even though it was so old. I enjoyed the puzzles for the most part. The setting, the characters. It's somewhere in the great category for me. Somewhere up here, maybe it's in the same tier as the Broken Swords and Tales for me. I'm not going to put it above Broken Sword 1. Am I going to put it above Broken Sword 1? I think that Shadow of the Templars may objectively be a better game, but I think that I enjoyed Dagger of Amun-Ra more. I don't think that I ranked that in that direction. I'm pretty sure that this was above that in my ranking from last week. But again, I think that this was the better game, but I think that I actually enjoyed playing this one a little bit more. I don't know, the ending was kind of an irritation in this one, and the goat was kind of an irritation in this one, so this is so hard. And again, this is completely different than what I ranked, last week. I think this was up here, and this was below it, and that was below that one. But again, I'm just kind of winging this as we're going. And I think this is right now, thinking about it after I've had even more time to digest it, I think this is where we're sitting. Wildwood Down. Wildwood Down was a good adventure game. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a great adventure game, but it was definitely a good adventure game. I enjoyed it more than Willie Morgan. Probably not as much as Escape, and probably more than all of these other ones. I don't think it was up. It wasn't quite in the great tier. There wasn't really anything that let it down for me. I didn't care that much for the action sequences, although those were optional and skippable. It just, it was a good game. It was a really good game. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the voice acting, the setting, everything. It just didn't quite get to the great tier for me. And that's really the same thing that I had to say about the Big O Boss Incident, which was the game that I played immediately after it. Really good game. Somewhere in here. I don't know if it's above Wildwood Down or below it. Those two are kind of in the same spot here. Again, it was better than all these other ones for me. But it was a little bit shorter. The humor was phenomenal. The voice acting was good. The setting was great. I actually kind of want to stick it up here in the great tier. Am I putting that above Wildwood Down? Am I putting the Big O Boss Incident above Escape from Monkey Island? Yes, I think I am. Again, I don't know, actually. That means that this kind of has to be here, too. Maybe above Thimbleweed Park. Thimbleweed Park was a good game. I don't know if it was a great game. No, it's got to be up there. This is really hard. I think I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Thimbleweed Park, even though this was such a good game. we're going to go like that for the moment. And we're going to have to figure this out too, because obviously you can see we've only got 3 games in our top 5, or should I say 4 games in our top 5, because we played Foolish Mortals.
Oh my God, I can't believe it!
Just finished it. I guess when this video goes live, it will have been a couple days ago that we finished it. Is that correct?
That is brand new information!
You already know, don't you?
A little bit.
I guess so. It would have been 2 days ago, as of the time of, although I'm recording this a couple weeks before this video goes live, so I did finish the game already. The videos just have not come out yet. But yeah, Foolish Mortals, no playing around. It's in my top 3. I've been thinking about this a lot, whether it goes above or below Sam & Max Hit the Road, but I think when I played the demo for this game, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't that impressed with it, except for the artwork. I really loved the artwork. I enjoyed the voice acting. I knew that I wanted to play it, and I thought it was going to be good, but I did not expect to love it as much as I did. The game was absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't played it yet, go pick it up and play it. And after you play it, then go back and watch along with my Let's Play and enjoy me enjoying it for the first time. But definitely go pick it up and play it before you watch the Let's Play, if you haven't already. Yeah. Honestly, it might be here. This is painful to do this ranking, because I really loved Sam & Max Hit the Road. It's a classic, but I think we have to do this. I liked it that much. I enjoyed it that much. Whether it was better is debatable, but I enjoyed it more, I think. Although I really loved the humor in Sam & Max. I can say that it's not the top. Nothing is ever going to beat Curse for me. If anything ever beats Curse for me, you'll know. But I don't think that's possible. It's somewhere here. I definitely like it more than LeChuck's Revenge, although this is one of the best adventure games ever made. I'm going to put it here. I enjoyed the humor in Sam & Max maybe more. The quirky, goofy, bizarro humor. This could go either way for me. It could be second place, it could be third place. I'm just going to leave it there, because otherwise we're going to be here for a couple of hours while I'm trying to decide. Which brings us back to this point. Is the Drifter better than Secret of Monkey Island? And I don't think I can do that. As much as I loved this game, I don't think I can put it above Secret. So, to nobody's great surprise, the Monkey Island games are pretty close to the top. Maybe to your surprise, Foolish Mortals is better than Monkey Island 1 and 2, in my personal opinion. And then we have the Drifter coming in at a close 6th place, maybe 5th place, depending on how I was feeling. So yeah, I don't know if I'm completely happy with every placement here, but I think I'm satisfied for the moment. This is what we're going to call my ranking of every point-and-click adventure game that I have ever played, and this list is going to just get bigger next year. I hope so. By next year, this is going up on January 1st, so this year, 2026. And we're most likely going to be kicking the year off with Grim Fandango, which I am still debating. There's a couple of other games, a couple of other classics on the list that I'm thinking about putting in above it, but I've been talking about Grim Fandango so much, and I've been thinking about playing it for like 5, 6, 7 years, really since the first time I saw the skeleton with the button asking about Grim Fandango in Blondebeard's Chicken Shack and Curse of Monkey Island, but we'll see. You guys will know because the video will be going live tomorrow. Anyway, this is going to do it. Let me know what you guys think of my list. Let me know what your list is, at least your top 5. Thank you guys so much for watching and joining me, and get ready for a great 2026. we're going to be playing a lot of adventure games, so stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.